everyone. Welcome back to the stream. I haven't done one of these since December. Um and I mean honestly I needed to take a break. Last year I was very busy with the channel. I know I took a couple of breaks, but towards the end there I kind of started to take a whole lot on. And yeah, I needed to just kind of take some time to chill and just kind of relax. So on top of that, I had a lot of just real world problems that I had to deal with. And thankfully it's all settled now. Like the last few weeks have been incredibly stressful, but things are good now. And I feel good to come back on stream and hang out with everyone again. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna experiment a little bit moving forward because I'm gonna be upfront with you guys. I feel like I kind of have said as much as I could possibly say on an ongoing basis when it comes to like the chuds and the grifter scene and all that shit. That's not to say that I'm never gonna cover them. If you guys want me to cover that, I will cover that. Make sure to just say something in the comments, and as we figure out the new formats and stuff, we'll incorporate that in. And another reason why that I'm kind of moving away from doing that on regular ongoing basis is because the investigation video, like we're kind of kicking back up on that shit again. I mean, I literally paused everything for the past 6 weeks, so we're picking stuff back up, and the investigation is picking back up, and I think that's gonna be like the most definitive thing that I will have to say about it, given everything that I've learned. Putting all these pieces together, I think, is going to be like a good way to go out. And I think it's going to just be, if you guys thought that like the Geeks and Gamers video was damaging, this investigation, I think, is just going to really kind of expose how just how kind of lame this all is. Like when you really break it down, it's all so very lame. It's getting warm in here. Give me a second. I'll crack open the window real quick. Okay, here we're back. So yeah, no. That investigation is going to be the last kind of big thing that I do covering these guys. So for now we're just going to play around with some ideas and stuff. There are like two things that I want to do. One is I want to introduce like just instead of doing an IF and Love Cinema for every movie that I watch, I'm just going to do like an IF and Love Cinema video here on the stream. And then I'm going to release that as its own thing to cover what I watch each month because I like logging stuff. I like sort of, following my journey with film over time and stuff like that. And the letterbox is really fun when it comes to that shit. So that's going to be something we're going to be doing here pretty soon. But another one, and I'll repeat this as more people join, but I want to let you guys decide where we move forward here for the second part of the show because there are two things that I want to watch with you guys. One is a Be Kind Rewinds video on Sofia Coppola's the hell she went through in making The Godfather Part 3. Outrage Ghouls and Grifters set will never go away. Yeah, exactly. That's what we're gonna do. That's what we're gonna do, Beval. Yeah, for sure. And so yeah, we'll either talk about that or I saw Naughty Dog put out a 2-hour making of The Last of Us Part 2 video. As a lot of you guys know, I'm not a fan of that game. I do respect it artistically though, and I am interested about like what went into the vision of that game from their own point of view. But I'm gonna let you guys decide though. As we get there, as more people come, I'll present the question again. But you guys let me know. For the time being though, let's go ahead and take a look at my January of 2024. Yeah, just kind of bounce back here a little bit. And okay, so I'm gonna put this over here. All right, cool. All right, guys, so let's kind of go over, and I originally my plan was to go over all the films I watched in 2022 and kind of do a sort of ranking list and all that, but I think that That would have taken a long time. I watched over 100 movies last year, which is I think the most that I've ever seen, or at least the most I've seen since I was a kid. But it's it's been pretty legit. So to kind of get things started here, I'm actually going to go back just a little bit because as a lot of you guys know, I'm a big fan of Vinegar Syndrome. I really love what they do. I love the stuff they put out. And they put out a box set last year called the Lost Picture Show box set, which is made up of like 10 little movies, like mostly lost movies that haven't been seen, have been locked away in a vault for a long time. And I thought, okay, cool. Like I wanted to buy it. So I bought the set. It came in last month, and I started watching the movies almost in order, from disc one all the way to disc five. And I watched all the special features. The only thing I didn't do is read the essays, but I think that'll make sense why in a minute here. But I want to go in and talk about the Vinegar Syndrome Lost Picture Show box set here because last year I got really into collecting movies again. That was used to be something that I would be a lot more active on when I was like in my early 20s and in before that. I used to have like a huge fucking DVD and Blu-ray collection back in the day. But as a lot of you know, that shit got stolen, and I'm only now starting to really work on building stuff back up. And in doing so, I've really gotten into like labels like Vinegar Syndrome, Arrow. Of course, Criterion's always been around, but the more that especially Vinegar Syndrome that I explore their collection, the more that like my appreciation of cinema as an art form changes for the better and kind of deepens because I'm able to appreciate what I used to call like universally crap schlock or whatever. I don't call it stuff that's simplistic anymore. To me, it's they're B movies, they're their own kind of thing, and that's what this collection is. It's like a collection of B movies, of mainly sexploitation movies, to be very honest with you. But they're so fucking weird. They're all so fucking bizarre. And so let's go ahead and start with the very first one that I watched here, and that's Barbara. My review was this was a weird artsy porno flick. I vibed with it. Weird music choices, weirder ending. I don't know. I just think it's neat. Yeah. So Barbara is, oh god, how do I explain it? It's like a dirty hippie sex documentary, and it's about a bunch of dirty hippies having dirty pansexual sex with each other. And it's very much of its time because this is a movie that's very much about free love, the concept of free love. And a lot of these things, when they get introduced into society, they're introduced in like the least nuanced way possible, like in the most extreme way possible that gets the most people's attention. And I think that's definitely what Barbara is going for here when it comes to its exploration of sex positivity and stuff like that. The thing is that like the people who made this movie are insane college kids and like some weird old guy. Like it's about this weird old the weird old guy, right? His name is not Barbara. And like he has like so the movie starts off with a couple having sex on the beach, and then like the weird old guy is like spying on them, and then eventually like has sex with both the men and the women, and like it's all like soft porn and stuff like that. But you see a lot more grinding than I think anybody really expected or wanted. But yeah, essentially he starts as like the best way I could describe it is like a hippie sex cult where it's a whole bunch of people, and the movie is just exploring in the most literal sense, in such a literal way that it's not even like titillating or exciting or anything like that. It's almost like it's so bizarre the place this movie goes, the places this movie goes and trying to be as sex positive as possible, that by the end I'm like, you know what, I think I think I'm a little puritanical now. I think I'm less sex positive having seen the extreme logical conclusion of all of it. It is an insane movie. That's not the last time I'm going to say that about these movies. There's some legitimately insane stuff here, and that's the first movie on this set. And I want to talk about the next one, and that's the Las Vegas Strangler. And my review was this was a legit legitimately fascinating and interesting take on a slasher. I don't know if it came before or after Psycho, but this was such an interesting sort of mirror of it. Much more intense than Psycho, though with more complicated themes for its time. Excuse me, great pick for the Vinegar Syndrome. So yeah, this movie was like probably like one of the more just straightforward, entertaining genre movies. It was definitely like a proto slasher. Like you know, it was long before slashers came into their own as a genre, and it's very much a riff on Psycho, but it's very much like a more extreme. You know, like a lot of stuff that's subtle in Psycho is very overt here. What ultimately what it comes down to is actually like a pretty legit little of all the movies, I would say this is like in the top like 50% because it really ultimately just is like a who done it. It kind of reminded me of Scream. And like I don't even know how to talk about this, right? Because like I mean, is could you spoil this movie? It's been out since 68. It's only available on a very small set. So I guess I feel comfortable saying this, but like the main quote unquote good guy is the Las Vegas Strangler. And that's sort of like the big twist ending, and a lot of that is because he's a closeted homosexual, and that's sort of like when you think about it, for it being 1968, kind of ahead of its time. You know, like one of the things that I think you grow to appreciate the more you get into like B movies and stuff like that is that a lot of the times these B movies and genre movies, like a really good example is Saw 6, right? Like it's a very recent example. Like Saw 6 is a movie about like health insurance, you know? And that movie came out before like debates over socialized medicine really kind of like hit fever pitch and all that. And yeah, like you see a lot of that stuff in B movies in general, and you definitely see a lot of that stuff on this set. So let's talk about the one of the two movies that I just straight up did not like. There's only two movies on this set that I just did not like, and this is one of them, and that is the Sex Serum of Dr. Blake, which is also called Voodoo Heartbeat. Okay, so this one was surprising to me because in the on the box set, all the movies have like a little intro, a little video intro before the movie, and in this one, like the guy kind of said, you know, yeah, like it's mainly like a porno, but it has some good filmmaking to it, and I was like, cool, like, all right, well, I mean, it has some good filmmaking to it, and I don't know what the hell he was talking about, frankly. His my review is three sex scenes and some lame ass quote unquote scenes that mostly play out in a wide. And when I mean lame ass scenes, I mean lame ass attempts at action scenes, right? Uh, a fun third act does not save the chore the film is to get through. Maybe even the sex scenes weren't so few and far between, which is like, I mean, let's face it, it's you know, it is basically a softcore porn movie. So like, what else can you really fill it up with? But you know, if you kind of look at the discourse around the Vinegar Syndrome Lost Picture Show box set, I'm not the only one saying this. The Sex Serum of Dr. Blake was kind of considered lame. I mean, let's put it this way, right? Um, all the quote unquote filmmaking is just like everything playing out in the wide. Like, yeah, there's a car chase, there's scenes in there that should be exciting, but literally everything plays out in the wide, like in one wide shot. And it's just really boring and dull to get through. I really didn't enjoy this one. And the worst part is that like the sex scenes are not fun. They're not well. That's you know, I think like a weird thing that happened to me while watching this box set was like, okay, I understand the difference between good sexploitation slash good softcore porn versus bad sexploitation and softcore porn. Because yeah, this was just absolutely just a struggle to get through. Not a fan of this. But let's move on here to the movie does have its fans. I think there are people out there who are sticking up for it, but I thought it was kind of whack. And the last of the American Hobos. This movie was a treat, man. Okay, this is not one of the genre movies on this set. This is a documentary slash art film. So I'm gonna go and just tell you guys what I wrote in the review on my letterbox. This is a genuinely great documentary. It may be a bit romanticized at times, but it's out of a deep love and respect for its subject matter. I love how this movie doesn't shy away from the dark and tragic nature of hobos and their lifestyle. There is some great music and editing too. And yeah, this movie is, well, I mean, it's in the title, right? It's about the last of the American hobos. And it's also just like a slice of American history, a slice of Americana, because um, the filmmaker of this movie just clearly has a fascination and a respect for the hobo lifestyle. And the movie is, it's interesting because it was made in the 70s, which is like a real transitional time for America in terms of like how our society, how our politics, how our economics operated and stuff. And this movie shows in real time the the last, one of the things that the movie kind of discusses is that hobos, what differentiates them from bums is that hobos are agriculture workers who move throughout the country with the seasons to always be in work and stuff like that. And there was a time where like, and it was interesting too because like these days, growing up in the community that I did, a lot of people around me worked as illegal immigrants on farms and stuff. And they're not considered jobs that pay well. They're not considered jobs that have a lot of clout or honor to them and stuff like that. And it's very unfortunate that and all that shit. But what's interesting is that like these days, most people, most like so I mean, just like citizens, Americans, and stuff like that, consider that kind of labor beneath them. And I think this movie captures a time where America was much more divided by class lines than by racial lines and stuff like that. I mean, we still have that to this day. Don't get me wrong. There's been a class war raging in America since the beginning of its since its inception. But like, I think what this movie captures is like a familiarity with this sort of struggle and a normalization and an understanding and an empathy for the sort of struggle of quote unquote hobos, of people who are transient, who have to be transient to survive, and the pains of that. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it is very much a movie that is honest about the tragedy of that life. But one of the things that I like about it is that it is romantic, and it really kind of shows like what's so interesting and funny and beautiful about it. And it's like, like this is a great definition of a hidden gem because there's another documentary by this same director on the box and the special features. To be honest, I haven't had a chance to see that yet. I probably should have, but um, you know, uh, well, what's really kind of great about this filmmaker, this documentarian, is that like he plays with the fact that it is a documentary while also doing a lot of recreations. There's like a musical number and stuff like that. And like, I don't know, man, like to see something like hobos that are often treated with like such disregard and such like disrespect, to be elevated to this level and have their lives explored with such sincerity, especially because of when it was made, of Warm Bloods. I haven't actually seen that one. By the way, how you doing, Phil? Good to see you around, man. Yeah, like this movie was just to me, like if you are at all interested in the Vinegar Syndrome box set, this is one of those movies that to me is like there's like four movies that are totally worth buying the entire set for. This is one of those four movies, maybe three, but we'll get there as we explore. But The Last of American Hobos, I was not expecting like to walk away from that movie just being like really moved by it. It was a legitimately fantastic film. Now, the next movie that I saw on the set was an interesting one. You know, in the history of like Vinegar Syndrome, and I guess also just preservation of like forgotten B movies and genre movies, there is the tradition of the incomplete movie, right? We have Miami Connection, New York Ninja, and now we have another example of a movie that was left abandoned and then completed by someone else completely, and that's What's Love. So apparently, this movie originally started off as like this weird experimental art film by an actual male porn star, and like he had this like like the first half is like clearly what the original vision was for, and it was so much more um sorry about that, and it was so much more like a movie about morality. Like there's this whole thing, uh Warm Bodies. Oh, okay, I think I know what you're talking about, that zombie movie, right? Like oh, bad, like a zombie romantic movie. I think I've heard of it. I think that's Luca Guadagnino movie. But yeah, like What's Love, it starts off like really interesting. And I mean, it's a movie made by a porn star. There's a lot of sex in it. There's a lot of sex in a lot of these movies. And so that's definitely there. And it starts off like really interesting because it's like one of those, it's so such a corny thing, like, oh, it's a porno with something that's about something though, and it's trying to be more than just like titillating. Unfortunately, the movie was completed by someone who was just a porn director and just really didn't bring a whole lot else to finish the vision besides just sex. And like, and don't get me wrong, like there's like a fun twist at the end, but it's literally delivered like in the middle of a sex scene. If it gives you an idea of like how much it just devolves into porn by the end. That again doesn't mean that it's a bad movie. It's just like it started off so like interesting before it just kind of became the laziest version of what it could be. And hey, Code, how you doing, man? What are you talking about? I'm just kind of going right now. I'm talking about the movies in the Vinegar Syndrome Lost Picture Show box set, but in a minute here, I'm gonna go through all the movies I watched in all the movies that I watched in January. I do want to say this. I see there's some more of you guys coming into chat. After this, there are two videos that I want to watch with you guys. I'm letting you guys choose in the chat here. Either the making of The Last of Us Part 2 or the Be Kind Rewind video about Sofia Coppola's experience with the production of The Godfather Part 3. When by the time we're done with this, we'll vote, but I just want to give you guys a heads up, have that in mind here. Yeah, What's Love ultimately was not it started off really solid, but it just kind of um deteriorated to something a lot cheaper by the end. So what was after What's Love? Okay. All right, after What's Love, we have some really weird shit. Okay, so now we're getting into like the real like meat of this box set, in my opinion, because now we're just getting just some bizarre stuff. Uh, um, Red Midnight. It's one of those vanity movies. It's a black tank top movie, you know, as Dane and Red Letter Media likes to call them. Excuse me. In the sense that it's like a rich guy who with the vanity project, and he's just kind of using it to indulge in all his weird little fantasies and stuff like that. And that's what Red Midnight is. Red Midnight is a movie that was made by a very successful dentist. Well, I'll read my review and then we'll take it from there because this is going to take a minute to break down. Of all the bizarre vanity projects in the history of film, this is among the most manic. Think The Room, but it's about a very bizarrely specific and dumb scenario that the film tries to warn us about, while also giving the director and star an excuse to roll around with a lot of beautiful naked women. It's a wild ride. It feels a little sad but funny and weird, and it's a strange look into a weird guy's like psyche. Yeah, this movie is just okay. Let me break down this movie, right? So this movie starts off with like a dentist and his wife, and they're out like on a lake. And to its credit, it's like pretty well shot. Like the scenes on the lake are really well, all that stuff. But like then their vacation home gets broken into by the mob, by the actual mob. Usually fun and all the yeah, no, this is one of them, dude. Wait till I get like wait till let me lay this out for you, right? So the movie starts off with him and his wife, and they're out on the lake, and the mob shows up. And the mob is about to kill them when they start talking about the fact that they have the mob, the Italian mafia guys. This is what I'm talking about here. The movie is saying that the mob has an atomic bomb, but they don't know how like or the pieces to an atomic bomb, and they don't know how to put it together. And just before the doctor and his wife are about to get killed, he's like, "Oh wait, I know how to put it together." Like, and he does. Like the whole movie is so bizarre because like it's a movie about this doctor who is supposedly being held hostage by the mob who wants to start a nuclear war. I haven't even got to the crazy part yet. So the mob wants to start a nuclear war. The dentist is like helping them, and then the whole movie, like everybody's like, "Why are you helping the mob like end the world?" And he's like, "Oh, I'm only pretending to so help them. And as soon as they turn their backs, I'm gonna make sure it doesn't happen." But like he just keeps going. He just keeps enabling this whole thing to happen, and like it gets to the point where like it's just ridiculous, dude. Like he's literally like putting the atomic bomb together, being like, oh fuck, I don't want to do this. And like, okay, so there's that. And you know, like I said in the review, it's also an excuse for him to run around to, you know, roll around with a bunch of beautiful naked women. The thing is though, is that, you know, clearly he was able to afford them to agree to that, right? He was able to pay everybody, all the women in this movie to agree to roll around naked with him, but he he couldn't get any of them to agree to actually appear nude, which is the crazy part. And what's so fucked up is that clearly that wasn't enough for the director, because there's so many shots where like it's clearly him like trying to sneak a peek with the camera, like it just quickly pans by or it's out of focus. There's like one shot, one actress who actually allowed herself to be nude on film, and the movie holds on to it for fucking dear life. It is like the funniest thing. Like you can read so much intention behind every move in this fucking movie. Um, okay, so if that doesn't sound insane enough for you, okay, if that does not sound insane enough for you, just give me a second here. The big sort of moral takeaway of this movie, the big sort of reason why this guy, this dentist, wanted to make this movie is because he believes that America builds homes too close together, and that a nuclear bomb or nuclear attack on America would not be so devastating if we didn't build houses so close together so that they wouldn't catch on fire so easily. That's that's the whole movie, dude. That is what the movie is building up for. It's like one of those like Red Scare movies, but like the big takeaway is, hey, we should probably leave like another like 10 feet between homes here from moving forward. It's such a bizarre movie, dude. Uh it's like it really is like Bivon said here, they're fun in all the wrong ways, because like you can kind of tell the director was a sleazy guy, but you got to give him credit. The fact that he felt so moved by the idea that America it builds its home so close together that he dished out all the money to make this fucking movie. That's that's fucking insane, dude. That is its own fucking level of just what the fuckery. Um okay, so that's Red Midnight. Okay, let's talk about the next. It's only a few, like one, two, three, four movies left to talk about here for this set. And this next one is another one of the reasons why you should buy this movie. And that is The Rare Blue Apes of Cannibal Isle, aka uh Captain Croc versus Quack Quack. Yeah, Quack Quack versus Captain Duck. Or whatever. And this movie is it's another vanity project, right? But unlike the other one, which was a director just using or someone using their money as a way to roll around the dirt with naked women and shit like that, this guy wanted to make a kids movie. I think he was a doctor as well. He just wanted to make a movie for his kids, right? And he came up with this batshit crazy movie called The Rare Blue Apes of Cannibal Isle, and it's very much like Where the Wild Things Are, right? It starts off with this kid who's mute, who like doesn't talk, and he's a bit of a troublemaker, and he has like a pet duck, and the pet duck disappears one night into the ocean, and the boy follows him, and then they land on Cannibal Isle with all the rare blue apes. And on there he meets a rare blue ape, which is this giant dude in a blue monkey costume with like a big monkey head, and a British accent, because colonialism plays a weird role in this movie, where like the blue monkeys were taken by a British to British what is it, Victoria, England, and was raised with like Victorian values and all that shit and Victorian customs, and fucking yeah, so like that's why they all have like an accent and shit, and they have like a war with like a bunch of like crocodiles who are also just dudes in rubber costumes. And by the way, for like a vanity project, for a cheap little vanity project, like I'm not gonna lie, the production value is legit. All right, like one of the reasons why this movie is actually worth the price is because like the director, in one of the very few instances, the director of this vanity project actually pulled off like what his ambitions were. He made a fun little kids movie, like a legitimately fun kids movie with like really good sets, really good production design, really good music, fun like atmosphere, all that shit. And then what's funny is because of the film stock that they used, and Vinegar Syndrome's technology, the movie has this sometimes has this strange pulsing color effect that just kind of has a weird vibe to it. It's totally cool. It's totally unique. What I said in my letterbox review is I didn't expect to enjoy this one so much, but it was a genuinely wholesome and charming, weird ass movie. The production and design and music really carry it. And also, I just want to say, like, the third act of this movie, it's fucking badass. Like, it's really cool. Like, it's a little war movie, but with like dudes in like lizard costumes versus dude in blue ape costumes, and it was actually like a fun movie. This is another one of the 3 to 4 movies that I think completely justify spending money on this entire set. And I will say this, like, there is a Vinegar Syndrome original special feature documentary. It's like a 90-minute documentary that features not just Vinegar Syndrome, but Kino Lorber, Grindhouse, Severin, and it's a bunch of these other boutique labels, and they're all just talking about what they do, why they do it, the philosophy behind their different boutique labels and shit. And it's yeah, it's a really great documentary. I guess that's like an honorable mention here. Let's talk about the next movie here on the set, and that is Violated. Now this is just straight up sexploitation. Like, just, and it's funny too because like the sex, like the disc that it comes with, like literally like the menu background video is just like the main actress of this movie just stripping naked and shit. Like, it's so upfront. But Violated is a movie that's about like a group of women who are being terrorized by basically like a strangler, a dude who breaks into women's homes, and that's the title, says violates them. If there's one thing that kind of bothered me about this, and that's maybe because like sexploitation ain't really my genre. Like, I'm a pretty open-minded guy, and I do think there are some sexploitation that I like, including this movie, by the way. But if there's one thing that kind of like just did not sit well with me, is that like this movie has some very beautiful women on it. Just cannot deny that. But all the sex in it is non-consensual. Like, all of it's non-consensual, and it's exploitation in the 70s. Like, they didn't stop the directors from shooting it in a way that's clearly titillating and all that shit. So like, it just, to me, in my 2024 fucking mindset, it's a weird barrier, you know. But like, outside of that, this movie is very much like a murder mystery, and the writing is the dialogue is legitimately great here. Like, this has some actually funny, memorable fucking lines I had written down somewhere. But uh this is a well written, witty screenplay, a very good mystery to it. And then at some point, like, I'm not gonna lie, it kind of reminded me of Prisoners, did even the new movies, because at some point they capture someone, and we don't know if that's the actual violator or whatever in this movie. And a part of the movie is about whether or not what they're doing is the right thing, if it's moral, if it's ethical. And again, it's one of those things that like all these topics on the surface sound kind of heavy, but like I said, the writing is fun. The vibe is light, because the 70s was just a weird time where you can make a movie that has nothing but unconsensual sex, and it somehow manages to be entertaining and shit. But like, Violated is another one of the movies that are just like providing solid reasons to watch this. Oh, hey Bob, how you doing, man? Organized chaos is in the house. And yeah, like, Violated is another very, I recommend this one overall for this set. And now we have a couple of other kind of like lesser movies. Not necessarily, well, okay, one of them is legitimately bad, but Beware the Black Widow is not. Beware the Black Widow is another one that is just, it's much more of like a neo, like a film noir. Think like a sexploitation a film noir movie that's also kind of has like a really good mystery to it, another really fun script and shit like that. The only thing that this movie kind of suffers from is hey, what's up, Sketchy? How you doing, man? And another thing that just kind of like works against this movie, it's just the fact that like Violated is just this movie, but a lot more fun. And not to say that Beware the Black Widow isn't fun. It's just that Violated is just a lot more better made movie. It's a lot more bold and stuff like that. So yeah, we have one more movie here, and unfortunately, it was not a movie that I liked very much. It was Deep Inside. And this movie, okay, again, like sexploitation. All right, what's good sexploitation versus bad sexploitation, right? And that's sort of like, and really, it just comes down to the filmmaking. Is the filmmaking good? Deep inside, it starts off well enough because this is a melodrama wrapped in a sexploitation genre film and shit like that. But it is primarily a melodrama. Like a good, like the first half of this movie is just people, like way too many characters walking into the room. We introduce their cheap little love triangle dramas and then we move on. This one just did not work for me. It really did not keep my attention. I was fast forwarding, and yeah, it was, yeah, it's Vinegar Syndrome. You know, they kind of they that's their roots is starting off with those kinds of movies. A Deep Inside is definitely another sexploitation movie. It's just not one that has anything fun around it. Uh, and it's just a sorry way to end this set. And that's my thoughts on the Vinegar Syndrome Lost Picture Show box set, which again, like I can tell, and you're right, Reggie. It is a lot of porn. So that ain't your bag. That ain't your bag. Okay, like this is not for you. But if you're interested in genre films, in B films, and especially like the history of lost independent cinema, it is a set that I think is worth checking out. That if I think it's like $80. I know it's like a steep price for a lot of people, but if this is something that you're interested in, and like all these obscure movies that literally just didn't, like, just were locked away for 50, 60, 70 years, and all these fucking weird passion projects that were also super sleazy and shit, like if that interests you, like I think you should definitely check out this set. Now, that's it for the first segment of the show. The second segment is just gonna be me going through the movies I watched this last month, and talking about them, because these are some of the movies that also, like, I'm pretty sure, like, I like to get your guys' take on this because, I like to watch new releases and older stuff. And speaking of new releases, the first new release that I saw this year was J.A. Bayona's Society of the Snow. This is on Netflix. As a lot of you guys know, I'm a big Bayona fan, to the point that I'm like one of six people that passionately loves Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I stand behind that. I don't give a fuck. But Society of the Snow is kind of going back to his roots. It's another kind of like The Impossible. It's another movie that kind of takes a real life tragedy. And The Impossible, it was the tsunami, and I think it was the Philippines. And in Society of the Snow, it's the group of survivors who crashed into the Andes Mountains in the 70s. No, it wasn't the Andes. I'm sorry, it was in Uruguay. But yeah, it's based on a real life story, and this is just J.A. Bayona, like just kind of really settling back to what he did best here, and it's very typical of J.A. Bayona. Like, one of the things that I like about J.A., and I think, like, we're gonna get into this later because I watched Cloud Atlas last week, and I can't wait to talk about that one. But Society of the Snow and J.A. Bayona in general kind of reminds me a lot of what works with the Wachowskis and with Cloud Atlas, is that, like, this dude, he knows how to he knows how to do genre. All right, this guy can direct action better than Michael Bay. He can fucking, like, his horror movies. The Orphanage, fucking gold, super underrated movie. He is a great director of genre, but on top of that, he has, like, just his fingers on the pulse of, like, human emotion. This guy is able to give you some of the most incredible action set pieces 1 minute and then make you fucking weep the next. And he does it all the time. I remember I remember I remember when I was watching The Impossible, when I watched it for the first time. It was in theaters when it came out. It was like 10 years ago. I was going through, like, some really kind of, like, heavy, like, emotional stuff. This is like after people broke into my house and stole my film equipment, so I was, like, really in my feels and shit. And then I watched The Impossible and I walked away being like, because it's a movie about family, right? It's a movie about, like, these connections that we have with our loved ones, and it's such a, like, basic, like, treacly, cheesy, borderline, like, cloying platitude of an idea, but he's able to inject it with so much humanity and so much depth that it never it never feels false. And that's what he brings to all his movies, and that's really what he brings to the Society of the Snow. One of the things that I really like about this movie is that like it sort of spits in the face of your typical movie of this type. You know, it's called Society of the Snow because I think what this movie is exploring is not. I mean, don't get me wrong. This is a movie about survival. Like this is a movie about following people struggling to survive, right? But it's not about the individualistic journey. You know, like another movie that I was thinking of a lot when I was watching this, and it's another movie that came out around the time of The Impossible, was The Gray, the Liam Neeson movie. And those movies, like, and that's another movie about survival, but like, and that movie's a lot more traditional in the sense that like it's very much about getting to know every individual person as a person and getting invested in who they are and their struggle for survival. This movie kind of takes that and widens the scope and it kind of asks like, what's the point of survival? Why do we survive? Like, what are we trying to accomplish? And why do we persevere when all hope is lost? You see what I mean here, guys? This is some real basic shit. Okay, this is like some real treacly ass basic ass fucking themes and ideas. But my god, J.A. Bayona is just able to just really make you feel it. Like by the end of this movie, I really like the third act, right? Like it's so crazy. Like the sort of beginning of the third act of this movie would have been like the big emotional happy ending in any basic bitch version of this story. Um, but I think the reason why is because the most basic bitch version of this story is one where they make it out alive, right? And this movie isn't about that. It's about like what does it mean to be alive. So the third act of this movie kind of the first that you know you would go through this story, this like struggle of this journey of survival and struggle with these characters as they learn to appreciate the little things and you know understand what life is about. And then in the third act, it's like this heartbreaking exploration of the aftermath of what it means to have survived. And you know, again, Bayona is just able to really like that guy knows how to talk with the camera, man. That guy knows how he is a master of the cinematic language, and he is just not afraid to just boldly put his fucking foot down and be like, we're making a movie about the corniest fucking shit, y'all. We're gonna fucking go for it. I'll go ahead and read you guys my review here. J.A. Bayona is back to his emotionally powerful genre films, though this time with the more ambitious vision and message. The film's first act introduces our characters in school, at church, and playing sports, education, faith, and recreation, the three pillars that make life meaningful, the things that inspire community at its best and tribalism at its worst. Thankfully, this is not a movie about old men who have had the time to grow cynical. This is a movie about young ideological men who work together to not just survive, but to live. J.A. Bayona is one of the greatest working directors because on paper, his movies are all corny as hell. They're about the importance of friends and family. A Monster Calls has a painfully obvious metaphor, and he is unapologetically sincere about it. On top of that, he is an incredible action director, able to punctuate the character driven scenes with thrilling set pieces. And while this film has far less of those than his other ones, each one hits. The film bets more on simple moments of discovery during times when all hope seems lost that inspire hope and provide their own catharsis at the realization that all hope is not lost. I love what Bayona is exploring here. This isn't a story about survival, but about living, about meaning, or the lack of it. Seeing the characters form their eponymous Society of the Snow and how that changes everyone for the better is a breath of fresh air, given how often stories of survival tend to lean toward the salacious and cynical. Not that I don't love that shit. Yellow Jackets is one of my favorite shows. That Bayona bets on the inherent drama of the struggle for survival, and by focusing so much on these aspects, he is able to masterfully maintain a tone that expertly walks the line between dread and hope. One scene in an avalanche expertly playing this out in a visually memorable way. You guys know what I'm talking about. Like, hey, Greg, good to see you back, man. Yeah, memorable way where the only thing lighting a scene is the bouncing light of the characters' increasingly pallid skin tones as dread sets in. It's good to see Bayona back in full force. I hope this gets awards recognition because this is exactly the sort of accessible but well-made prestige films that they need to support. I don't think it did, unfortunately, which is a bummer. Like I feel like J.A. Bayona is just so underappreciated, man. Like so uh underrated, in my opinion. Now, from a peak to a valley because we're going to talk about a movie that is very infamous that I saw for the first time. Hook is one of my girlfriend's favorite movies, and it's one of those movies that she's been trying to get me to watch for a long time. And like I always tell her, like, look, I think there's certain movies that, like, if you don't watch it before a certain age, it's just not going to work on you, right? And I think like The Goonies is a good example of that, and I think Hook is a good example of that. And I was right. I was definitely proven right. This movie is 2.5 hours long. Nobody fucking told me that. Like this movie felt longer to me than Heaven's Gate. That movie is almost 4 fucking hours long. I Hook was like a very, very hard movie for me to sit through as just like my own person, you know. But my girlfriend had a very difficult December. She was very sick throughout it, and at the beginning of this month, she was starting to feel a little better. So I was like, "Hey, like, you feel good enough to just hang out, like, and all that shit. Like, let's watch one of your favorite movies." The only thing that really made this movie worth it for me was just that, like I said, you know, she's one of the people who saw it at the right age. It's magic to her. Like I was looking over at her, she still had that smile on her face. Everything worked for her. I wasn't gonna take that away from her. I wasn't gonna say shit, you know, like she was having the time of her fucking life. And me, I was fucking miserable as shit. But you know, that's kind of part of being in a relationship. And ultimately, like she had a good time. And that's why I watched it, for her to have a good time. Let's see. Hook at least start off Dante Basco's career, and he went on to voice Zuko in Avatar. Is that who's Don? Is that Rufio? Dante Basco has some interesting cameos like Glenn Close, Phil Collins, George Lucas. No, that yeah, there's a lot of like interesting. Okay, like with Hook, like Hook, it feels like it feels like that. I totally get that because like the rumors are that Hook, for for the time that it came out, was one of the most ambitious productions ever. Like there were people who were just showing up to hang out on set because the set of Never Everland was just so elaborate and so detailed and so fun. Okay, I can see that. I could totally see that. And yeah, like and it makes sense because it's like first of all, let's just start this off. It takes way too fucking long to get to Never Everland. It takes way too long. Like that whole first act with Robin Williams in London, like they can cut that shit down. You can get that down to like 40 minutes. Don't lose a fucking thing because like we get it. And by the way, the original cut of this movie was 4 hours long. And I totally get it because like some characters just stop developing. Like the little sister, like in the second act, she's just like barely there. And apparently, like a big subplot they cut out was that like she was gonna be like a surrogate mother figure to all the pirates and shit. It was bizarre, dude. Like this movie's way too much, man. This is just way too much cramped into this movie. This is like the definition of self-indulgent because it's not just like Steven Spielberg who's like indulging, like being super self-indulgent. It's everybody, like everybody's playing it up, like everybody's chewing up the scenery. Robin Williams, to his credit, gives a pretty solid performance here, like a really good performance even. But it's just lost in just the sheer, just like it buckles under its own weight. There's just so much crap going on with like Tinkerbell and her weird like crush, and who fucking knows, dude. Like I could not believe how like convoluted this movie got as I was watching it. I'll go ahead and read you my review right now. I watched this because it's my girlfriend's comfort movie. My favorite part of it was seeing her bask in pure joy. The movie itself is overly long, meandering. It feels like a Judd Apatow movie where it just feels like a glorified assembly cut of a better film. I had no idea Spielberg could be this dull. John Williams, and Smith are great. Everyone here is trying their best to give this wonky ass script life, but it is wonky. This is a great example of brilliant and talented people who somehow managed to make unwatchable crap. And I'm sorry, to me, like this movie was just frustrating to get through. Absolutely. I'm so old. I saw Hook at the cinemas as a kid. I didn't enjoy it and I've never seen it since. Hey, you got that taste early. You developed that taste early, man. Hook was just like one of the most Christ. Like, yeah, I mean, I get it. I get why people love it. Like, I totally see that shit, but like, nah, that was not for me. Don't show that to people over like 12 if it's their first time seeing it. It's just not gonna work, unfortunately. And By the way, guys, we are have I have not seen Argyle yet. I don't know if I'm gonna watch that in theaters. Have you watched it yet, Dio? I'm curious what people's thoughts on it are. Um, but yeah, let's continue on here. So yeah, like I said, my girlfriend was sick all December. And I've been going through some, seeing it. You're seeing it Tuesday. You're seeing it on Tuesday. I don't know why, but I think that's funny. That's cool, dude. No, yeah, fucking let me know what you think about it on the next stream for sure. But because I've been hearing so much mixed up, like mixed things about it. I hear like the second half is wild. I think it's an interesting movie that might be worth seeing someday for me. But yeah, so as I was saying, I was going through some real world drama, financial issues. I'm prone to seasonal depression. December is not the winter time, but especially December is not an easy time for me. And I'll be real with you guys. I was not feeling well. I was not feeling like emotionally okay. For a while, I was letting things get to me, uh, but ultimately, I'm better now. I came out the other side, but when that sort of stuff happens, like we all need our comfort movies. We all need to just sit back and be comforted by something familiar and something nostalgic. And the movie that I turned to comfort me when I was really kind of going through it was The Lion King. This is a first time seeing it in a while. My review is very simple. What can I say? I just love this movie. Such a comfort watch for me with the incredible music and animation. And let's see. And thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. Yeah. Guys, honestly, we all go through stuff and all that. So lean on your friends, lean on your loved ones, because like therapy is expensive, but we're lucky to have the people we have, and yeah, Lion King is great. Lion King it's not just great, man. Like this movie to me, it holds a special place in my heart. It's one of my top 10 favorite movies ever made, and it just like it just never loses its magic to me. Like especially the fucking songs, dude. Especially the fucking songs. And like I said, like everybody knows that like um memorable songs are great, like the songs you hear in the movies, but like the score is just so fucking epic. Apparently it's like one of Hans Zimmer's like early fucking scores. And by the way, I remember like after I watched the movie, like I just couldn't stop talking about like how sick the music was. And I was talking to my girlfriend and I was like, do you remember that movie? And maybe you guys remember this. Fly Away Home with Jeff Bridges. It was funny enough, Jeff Bridges, but it with Jeff Bridges in it. And it's not a movie that like I don't remember much about it. I know that it's about uh uh a daughter reconnecting with her estranged father, and then there's a bunch of ducks, and at the end it's like Free Willy. They set the ducks free, and like they're on like a glider, and there's I kind of remember some things here or there. But one of the things that always stuck out to me was the fucking music. Dun 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 dun, dun. Like that always like I don't know why, but like that score always stuck in my head. And then like I learned like last month that was Hans Zimmer too. Like, yeah, like Hans Zimmer is just a fucking man. Yeah, yeah. Like I remember like it was a pretty decent movie, but like I don't remember much visually about it. But that fucking theme song, dude, that fucking Hans Zimmer theme song is just like great. And I kind of like to me, Hans Zimmer is so tied to like Christopher Nolan during like the era that I think he was doing his best work. That I kind of want to go back and like really listen to all his stuff. He's gold. Scores is something we're gonna get into more as the month goes on here. But God, what can I say about the Lion King, man? Like, it's just such a fucking beautiful movie, and like one of the things that I've always wanted to like back when I was like super ambitious about like what I wanted to be as a filmmaker. One of the things that I've always wanted to do is that like I want to make like music and movies like the visual image and music like in terms of like not just like the lyrics but like the song, like the movement of the music. I want it to be like I've always wanted to translate like a song's audio, not just its lyrics, to film, right? Like I wanted to recreate what a piece of music, just like the instrumentals, what it feels like just with imagery. Like that's always something that I've always been in, like to wrap it around like in a feature length narrative. That's always something that I wanted to do. So like whenever I see moments in movies where like the movie where like the what you're seeing and what you're hearing are like so perfectly intertwined, like it always like sticks out to me because I'm like, I want to do that for 90 fucking minutes though. And like the Lion King, I think might have been where it started because especially Be Prepared, like the way that the I think that's where like the idea seeded when I was 5, because I've always loved that sequence because everything about the music, everything that makes the music great at least is translated like visually. And like this time around, like as the song is ending and everything is turning red and like the music is like culminating and you're getting all the orchestral sounds and the lyrics are getting epic and shit, like everything is moving upwards and there's like this really awesome shot where um the the background music goes la la la, and then like the hyenas sway their hips while they do that as it swings by the camera. And I don't know, man, like it just so worked on me. It's so like I love that shit, bro. Like I love when movies, when the image and the music are just so perfect together, and that is a prime example of that shit to me. And yeah, that is yeah, The Lion King. I could fucking gush about that movie all fucking day, and if you guys don't stop me, I might. So let's go ahead and move on to the next piece here, and that's a bodies, bodies, bodies. And you know, we talked about Lion King as a slasher. I'm sorry, as a comfort film. Slashers are like a comfort genre for me. I enjoy slasher movies. When I was a kid, that was cathartic, especially when I was getting bullied. Like watching Jason do his shit was like, fuck yeah, fuck yeah. So you know, Lion King got me feel better, but I was still kind of going through my feels. So I watched Bodies, Bodies, Bodies for the first time. I really liked it. Like I really was not expecting this movie to be such a like a fun let's face it, this movie is really an exploration of its characters, right? Like it's really just a movie about who these people are as human beings, but like the slasher thing it's like a slasher for me that's like wrapped up around it. Let's see. Sergio Leone felt like they were cut to the music of yeah, no, and Neo Morricone yeah, 100%. And I think like when that happens, and you know, like when music and all that's cut perfectly to the movies, like it just makes that music that much more memorable. Which is why, like, we all know the like that shit, right? Like the imagery of it just works so fucking well. But yeah, back to Bodies, Bodies, Bodies. This movie was fucking like it's like I really I hate the term. I'm totally with like everybody else on this. I hate the term elevated horror. Like it's such a like disrespectful term to me. As someone who's loved horror movies like all my life, like horror has always been, you know. Yeah, no, bodies, bodies, bodies is gold, dude. But what was I saying? Yeah, like slashers, no doubt, I think have been elevated between this and X and Pearl. I think like what those genres subgenres are going through right now, especially with like the A24 treatment, is just really fucking fascinating. Because look, this is a recent movie. I don't want to spoil I don't want to spoil the ending of this because the ending of this movie is one of the funniest fucking jokes. It's such a great punchline. That's the best way to put it. Like the movie does such a good job of presenting itself as a slasher film, and then like at the final moment as the most hilarious pretend. Oh my god, yeah. Making a podcast is really hard. You got to set the schedules on Google and book guests. I burnt out after Christmas week. I reviewed 11 films. Yeah, no, that's a lot, bro. That is a lot, especially if you love movies. It's you know, every now and then I'll watch 2 movies in a day, but for the most part, I limit myself to one because, like, you know, you can't watch too many movies in a small period of time. I'll be real with you guys. I think I watched too many of those of those Lost Pictures show sexploitation movies back to back. I think it started to like have a weird effect on me. So if you buy that set, space that shit out. But like, yeah, let's get back to bodies here. So it presents itself as a slasher film, and it does such a good job of like maintaining the slasher film like thing. Like there is like one slasher ass like death in this movie, and like the circumstances are so fucked up and so like and it plays so much into like what the movie is saying about like Gen Z. And I don't want to be one of those like I'm fucking millennial, dude. I don't know fuck all about Gen Z, but this movie like definitely I think examines what makes Gen Z such a weird ass generation. And I don't say that in the negative way. We're all fucking weird from each other, right? That's why there's generational fucking strife and shit. But yeah, I think this movie takes that concept and what they do with it is, I tell you, man, the ending of this movie it just had me cackling because it was so fucking funny. Like, yeah, I really enjoyed this one. I gave it 4 stars. I'll go to give you my review here. A really creative take on a slasher film, almost like something out of a Gen Z Twilight Zone. They make, let me see, what is, oh yeah, the makeup really captures the feeling of being, what is that? Okay. Oh yeah, the filmmaking really captures the feeling of being a sober third wheel around a bunch of cross-faded close friends and uses it to great effect. Excuse me. The horror of paranoia that unfolds is tense as this seemingly standard whodunit slasher slowly becomes something way more original and interesting, enhancing its slasher tropes with fresh ideas that I've never seen tackled like this. I love the lighting in this film as it gives the look, as it give it a look and vibe befitting its originality. A clever a clever take on a slash film carried by strong writing and performances, and one that should be viewed by every horror fanatic. And I believe that. If you like horror movies, especially if you like slashers and you haven't seen Bodies, it's a must watch. Um, and yeah, that's Bodies. Let's move on to one of my few 5-star movies this week. And it's not even a movie, it's a TV show. Are you like I don't know about you guys in chat. I don't know if I have any chatters with me on this, but I fucking love Nathan Fielder's work. That guy, ever since Nathan for You, he's been putting out the most consistently fascinating, like deeply cutting, like insights into the human psyche, and then he plays with like reality TV like tropes in such an interesting way. Like my review is very simple here. 5 stars, Nathan Fielder's masterpiece. And I don't say that like lightly. To me, a masterpiece is like an artist's culmination, a culmination of years of an artist honing their craft to make the masterpiece that is like an expression of everything they've done, of everything they've learned, and of everything they've explored. And The Curse to me is literally Nathan Fielder specifically his masterpiece. That The Curse ending has to be seen to be believed, yet so and horrifying. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The ending of this. Well, I'll get to the ending in a second because I want to talk about the whole thing here. I want to talk about this movie. I'm sorry, not this movie, this show on a conceptual level, right? Because Nathan Fielder started off with like Nathan for You, which was ostensibly a reality TV show. Like all the people that everyone except Nathan on that show is a real person who is just being themselves on 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 screen, right? And then like Nathan for You started off as just being like a comedy show, like a take on like hidden camera TV shows and shit, right? Like it was definitely a riff on that. Um and this movie, well, and then like you know, it was a basic thing is what I'm trying to say. It started off just being like this very basic, funny hidden camera TV show. But if you guys haven't seen Nathan for You, as it continues onward, it becomes like a genuine critique of like Nathan Fielder as a person, yes, but also like an exploration of like connections, of like human connection, and what it means to feel connected to others. And then like this wacky show about this weird, awkward guy who presents ridiculous ideas to struggling businesses that are just so obviously dumb and funny that it's fun to watch. And then like the final episode is a 90-minute documentary where he helps an old man reunite with a lost love. Like that's the trajectory of Nathan for you, right? And that's like the first show he ever did. Excuse me. And then he makes the rehearsal. And the rehearsal is it's sort of like stripping away layers of artifice, right? Because the rehearsal is like a really laying to bear like what the boundaries of reality TV are. He's basically being man, I'm coughing up a storm today, guys. I'm sorry. I think it's the coffee and all that shit. But anyways, with the rehearsal, he uses reality TV and television production to give people, and again, it's kind of a reality show, to give people a way to practice difficult interactions in real life in a safe and controlled setting, right? And again, and it's another reality TV show because everybody but Nathan is a real person, and that show very much, especially two characters, one that I think Dougie is based on, Amanda's boyfriend or Amanda's date, and the rehearsal. Tell me that's not Dougie. Like in the rehearsal, there's a whole thing where like he drives high and like driving and like he says that he's had a DUI. And then like Dougie's whole thing in the curse is that like he drives drunk and he has a DUI. Like it's there, right? And well, okay, we'll get into that in a second. Hey Jeremy, how you doing, man? Because like there's so much fucking shit going on here. There's so many layers that are not talked about when it comes to the curse. But we'll get there in a second, right? Because like the rehearsal is another continuation. But if you watch the rehearsal, like halfway through it, like the original premise is dropped. I think Nathan understood that what he was doing was kind of shitty and it wasn't really that interesting. And so the second half of the rehearsal, uh, it becomes a show that is like about the dangers, the emotional weight and how of doing reality TV like Nathan had does, and then also how it makes you a shitty person. Like the ending of the rehearsal, if you guys haven't seen it, like it's way more understated. It's way more understated than the curse, but it's also really dark and really haunting and really thought provoking. And I think it'll piss you off. It will piss you off the ending of the rehearsal because it's just fucked up. I mean, I don't know what else to say. What Nathan Fielder does at the end of that show is kind of fucked up. And so now we're here at the curse, and the curse to me feels like a culmination of the sort of guilt that he experienced over making fun of regular people who were just kind of like existing, you know? And also like with him contending with how him being the guy to put them in that situation, how it fucked with him and how it made him a bad person. This show is literally about a couple making a reality TV show who are trying to make innocent people just trying to get by perform for the cameras, and who doesn't care and who don't care like how it affects them. And then sort of, when you take, there's another aspect too where the main couple is very clearly not right for each other, and apparently Nathan Fielder was writing this during his divorce and shit. And you see that all on screen. The curse to me is like almost like self-flagellation in some ways, especially considering how it ends. Whole shows was a masterclass of awkwardness. It was an uncomfortable watch, but very rewarding. Yeah, it was, but it was also and especially like visually with the camera work, an exploration of voyeurism and like what it takes, the nature of reality TV. One of the things that the show is known for is how many shots are like, there's one famous shot where like it's inside some random lady's living room and it's looking out at the main characters, and then in one sequence she's literally looking right into the camera. She's acknowledging the presence of the camera. And it's just so like it's what Nathan is doing with the tropes of it, with the reality and sort of with his experience. And then like Bivas said, the ending of the curse really just needs to be seen to be believed, because I think Nathan Fielder is pointing at himself and being like, it's me. I'm the bad guy, and making himself feel it, you know? I really was just blown away by The Curse, and I have not been able to stop thinking about it. And you know what? Like, this show is so fucking fascinating. I didn't even told you guys what the show's about. I've been able to talk this much about what makes it so good without even telling you guys what the show is about. But it's very basic. It follows Asher and Whitney Siegler, who are shooting a reality TV show for HGTV, which is, you know, basically a house flipper show, but they're trying to introduce a philanthropical, like environmentally conscious thing, and it's a whole bunch of bullshit, to be honest. Because really, this is a movie about rich people who are trying to feel good about doing something they know is inherently fucked up, and that's gentrification. And this show is definitely an exploration of all that shit too. But I think like what really makes it more interesting for me is where it sits in Nathan Fielder's greater body of work and what it says about him right now. Because apparently they're shooting the second season of The Rehearsal. I'm excited for that, but like so far, taking Nathan Fielder's entire career, you know, let's say Nathan for You Act One, The Rehearsal Act Two. I think The Curse is a masterful Act Three. I think I'm excited to see what he does next, but like, and I mean, don't get me wrong, I think he's more than capable of doing this, but I think it's gonna be hard for him to like top himself here in terms of like what he's able to do with the form and of not just like reality TV, but TV like period. You know, The Curse was just like fucking brilliant, brilliant shit. Got the last couple movies here. We're gonna see. It really felt like it captured the whole upper class, middle, liberal. Yeah, especially with the whole thing with Kara's character and how Whitney related to her and stuff like that. Yeah, the whole show is fucking fascinating, guys. Seriously. But yeah, that was The Curse. And speaking of Emma Stone, I watched Poor Things last weekend on the 20th. I gave it 4 stars. I really don't get me wrong. I really like this movie. I think it's Yorgos Lanthimos' like probably his most accessible movie, and I really love the performances here. But like, look, I'm very God, I don't even know how to say this without sounding like a total cornball. But like, you know, how do I say this shit? I'm very I feel like I try to be very understanding and empathetic to like the plight and the experiences of women in society, right? Like I feel like I'm very receptive to it. I feel like I do my best to like not be a fucking toxic douchebag guy myself. I'm not perfect, but I feel like I have a mom, I have a girlfriend, I got cousins and stuff. Like I'm aware of the stuff they go through, the stuff women go through and all that shit. And I understand like how patriarchy affects women and all that shit. But at the end of the day, I am a guy. I am a dude. And those experiences, as much as I can understand them, they're not things that I experience in day-to-day life myself. So like and I kind of felt the same way about Barbie as I did Poor Things. Like I respect everything that's going on here. This is all very well made. I'm enjoying myself here. Uh both Barbie and Poor Things are really fucking funny movies. They have a lot to say. They're very subversive. They're very brilliant. But ultimately, the only reason that I can't love Poor Things and Barbie more than I do, it's just because I'm a guy, and like it doesn't like hit at my core the way I imagine these movies hit women. That's not to say that I don't like them. Like I gave both Barbie and Poor Things 4 stars. But I think like to me, I recognize like the one thing that I feel just really wasn't hitting for me was that like I relate to other sets of problems and shit like that. I'll be right back, guys. Give me just a second here. I'm gonna go ahead and put on. Give me a second. I'm gonna put something on here so that you guys aren't bored. I'll try to be back before this is over. Let's see. Uh, uh, uh. Okay, I'm gonna put this on until I get back from the bathroom. Excuse me.
Welcome to the Vision Pro, Apple's most complex piece of hardware yet. and most reflective. So complicated that we'll need more than one video to tackle it. So we'll speedrun disassembly for a not so normal teardown. I can't be the only one getting Ready Player One vibes. I mean, ski goggles with an ethereal blue glow, Uncanny Valley avatars, check and double check. Despite Apple's obsession with AR, the pass through video is easily the weakest element of this experience. While spatial video and the immersive experiences are pretty darn cool, the real world is experienced through a slightly laggy 2010s webcam. And don't get me started on the external display's attempt at eyes. We'll get to that later. For now, the extremely specific customization of these headbands and light seal make this a single player experience. But I'm not here to play games. It's time to dig in and tear down. First up, the power cord, which turns to unlock, and is, I believe, the only way to turn the headset off, unless you ask Siri. The cable disconnects at the other end, too, with the help of a SIM eject tool. The battery pack is 362 grams, and I'm thankful that's not on my face, even if it would even out the distribution a bit. The knit band is a pretty impressive piece of textile wizardry and pops right off at the stems with this nice latch. Our custom-fit, hand-packed headsets come with face cushions in size W, light seals in 21W and 33W. The stems come off with just a bit more effort and another jab with a SIM eject tool. Bye-bye speakers. Now it's time for my ultimate teardown challenge. I've been tearing down for just about 11 years now, and this might be my Everest. Massive curved sheet of glass with 0 point of entry, challenge accepted. But I'm gonna need a better heat source. A thick plastic film protects the glass and stymies prying, and some overzealous heating may have singed the interior light seal, but the iFlex manages to sneak under the glass. Luckily, the display isn't pushed right up against this layer and I can slice through unhindered. Removing the glass reveals another screw-free layer. This one is slick black, and after sneaking under a camera cutout, I don't think it's the screen, because honestly, I would have broken it by now. Suction handle, some more prying, and for my reward, sure enough, yet another unlaminated layer over top the exterior screen. But hey, just for fun, does this thing still work? Yes, Whoa, okay. What happened here? This display is covered in tiny ridges that are actually lenticular lenses. You may recognize lenticular lenses from postcards or novelty playing cards. The motion effect is achieved by weaving two images together. One side of the lens only displays image A, image B appears from the other side. This method can also be used to create a three-dimensional effect called stereoscopy. Each eye sees a different angle of the same subject, creating a three-dimensional image. Unfortunately,
Sorry, back. Sorry about that. Let's continue on here. I really like lots of most other films, especially Dogtooth, but haven't seen Poor Things yet. The only one I haven't seen is The Favorite. That's someone I really want to see that one. I know that was the first time we worked with Emma Stone and stuff. I like Yorgos Lanthimos, but I agree. I like early Yorgos Lanthimos better. Like, Dogtooth is my favorite. Dogtooth is also my favorite Lanthimos movie. And I also feel like so much of Lanthimos' other movies are in Dogtooth, you know? And I think it's cool. I really like The Lobster. Oh, hey Troy, how you doing, man? Yeah, good to be back, man. Thanks for being here, stopping by. But yeah, no, I like Lanthimos' earlier stuff more than I like his later stuff. I think he's a solid director, but like especially he's bold. Like the fact that the killing of a sacred deer, like the movie literally just opens up with like a dude's heart just fucking cut open and shit. That's wild, you know. But I really liked Poor Things, but I kind of walked away very much feeling about it the same way that I felt about Barbie, which was like, you know, everything about this rips, everything about this is good. It's just not hitting me in the corazon, you know. And that's, you know, unfortunately, sometimes that happens. But one movie that's never been the case for with me is 2001: A Space Odyssey. This is another movie that is kind of a comfort watch. Like that's sort of the running theme of January is that, you know, I have seasonal depression, so a lot of my comfort watches get watched when it's cold out. And 2001 is another comfort watch for me. The first time I watched this movie, Barbie's my favorite second film of last year. I really liked it. I really like Barbie, you know, but like I said, man, it's just like I don't know, man. I really hate to say it. It sounds so shallow, but it's just like as a guy, it only affects me so much, you know. Um, but yeah, 2001: A Space Odyssey. The first time I watched this movie Like this is one of those. There's like three movies that really are kind of like the foundation of my taste about four movies and what I love about them. That's Jurassic Park, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and Magnolia, right? Because um each one of those movies for me um represented like me falling deeper in love with film, right? Like when I first watched Jurassic Park, I was like, oh, I'm a movie kid, right? But when I was in seventh grade, I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey, and that was just one of those movies that like showed me that movies are more than just like entertainment. Movies can be these experiences, these thought-provoking experiences, and it introduced me to Stanley Kubrick. I very much got obsessed with Stanley Kubrick after I watched 2001: A Space Odyssey. And yeah, like I have seen that movie so many times in my life. I think it's up there with like Jurassic Park, um, and Magnolia in terms of like movies that I've probably seen the most added up like throughout my entire life, and Eternal Sunshine as well, and Kill Bill Volume 1 and 2. But like, god damn, 2001: A Space Odyssey. It was a movie that like it hasn't felt like a lot of people always say like, oh, it's a slow movie. But you know what? Honestly, I've seen it so many times that it hasn't felt slow to me since I was like in high school. I could put this movie on and just sort of vibe with it and like never fucking feel like it's skipping a beat. I never feel it slowing down because like I just love the odyssey that this movie takes you on. And this time around, you know, it was no different. It's just like the benefit of watching it in 4K because I have the 4K and it's like reference level, like it's beautiful on 4K. If you haven't seen it in 4K, you owe it to yourself, in my opinion. Especially because like the last third of it, but even that, like even like the Dawn of Man sequel, honestly, like it all looks great. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but the third act of this movie is one of the most visually stunning things ever. And it has a new like Atmos track, and I was like listening to it, it sounded so fucking good. But it's 2001: A Space Odyssey, you know, like well, I mean, it's Stanley Kubrick in general. Like every time that I watch a Stanley Kubrick movie, no matter how many times I've seen it, I always manage to like find something to new, some other thing to like latch onto and to love about it. And with this one, and I think, I mean, I'll be real with you guys, a lot of that is because like I was going through like some mental health stuff, was just like tracking Hal's character arc and trying to track like his mental like decline and shit. That for me was what really made this viewing of the film interesting and special and different than all the other ones. And yeah, like it's fucking 2001, dude. Like it's gold. It's fucking incredible. And yeah, so I watched that movie. I gave it 5 stars on the 23rd of January. We're getting almost done here with the month. We got a couple more movies to go. Oh, forgot to pop that bitch open. Hold on. Some good coffee, I'm not gonna lie. So as you guys see, I graduated from drinking beers on stream to drinking coffee. Sobriety is cool. Sobriety is fun. But yeah, let's move on to the next one. Machete Kills. Man, like you know, like I really, it's called Machete fucking Kills, right? Like it should be dumb fun. It should be like just mindless, turn your brain off and watch this goofy, silly shit happen. And don't get me wrong, for a good 40 minutes, it is that. It is that. But like, what was going on with the second half of this fucking movie? Like, oh my god, like they crammed so much shit into like the last like, and what sucks is that like it's not even like paced well. There comes a point where the movie should be over, like it should end 100%. And then like I clicked on the thing and I saw like 30 fucking minutes left because it was to set up a sequel. I was not. This movie wore me out. This movie wore me the fuck out. Like I was not happy by the end of it, and it's a bummer because like there's so much fun shit about it. You know, there's so many fun performances. Everybody is clearly having the time of their lives making this fucking movie. And like I you know, again, like the first 40 minutes, up until the Mad Max race to the border, that to me, that's when that movie should have ended, when they crossed the border. Because once they do, like it just gets so fucking convoluted. And like ways that go from being dumb fun, just being dumb. Um and it's very unfortunate because I shouldn't feel this angry about fucking machete kills. You know, like the bar is so low for fucking machete kills, in my opinion. That like the fact that it failed me by trying too much, by doing too much and trying too hard. That is a tragedy here. But I gave it 2.5 stars. You know, I'm gonna bump that bitch down to a 2 now that I've talked about it some more. And I said it starts off really well. The film's over the top nature was fun for a while, but the thing about B movies is that they're usually short and have an ebb and flow to them. But this movie seems to want every scene to be this wacky set piece, and it eventually compounds to just being too much. The film peaked with the Mad Max style chase with Lady Gaga, but it was a halfway point. It seemed to have 5 acts, and the final third just drags on. If they can tighten up the script on the next one, though, it might be the cult hit it desperately attempts to be. And yeah, there was a lot to like here. There's a lot to like in Machete Kills. This was just like, goddamn, get. You know, I get the point. I kept thinking like, I get the fucking point. Please, let's just move the fuck on. Okay, now we're moving on to a big one here. We move on to the biggest discovery for me this month. And you know what? When I first watched it, I gave it 4 stars. But I watched this on the 28th. I think it was Monday. No, Tuesday. Watched it on Tuesday. And I walked away giving it a 4. But I've thought about it and I've thought about it and I've thought about it so much as I watched it that now it's a 5, and that is Tom Tickworth's and the Wachowskis' 2012 masterpiece, Cloud fucking Atlas. Guys, I said earlier in the stream that like for all my love of like dark, crazy, edgy shit, like I am a cornball at heart. I am a sucker for cheesiness, for when it's done well, when it's earned, like all platitudes when they're actually done right, they have a power to them, you know? And Cloud Atlas is another one of those movies that is just about something so like basic, like it really is a movie about how every nothing in life is an accident, like everything matters, and all of us I mean the fucking climactic point of the movie, the line that sums up the movie to me is just so succinct and beautiful, right? Like they say like, well, your life was nothing more than a drop of water, and she says like, what's an ocean but a multitude of drops. Like when she said that, like I was like, oh, like I felt that really hit me, man. And like what this movie is saying, how this movie takes all these disparate stories and all these disparate elements and is able to connect them in such big and such. Oh, hey Fade, how you doing, man? Good to see you. And yeah, like the way that Cloud Atlas is just able to just weave these stories together, and the way that like and I think it's very interesting what it chooses to be very overt and what is a lot more subtle in terms of like how all these narratives are connected with each other, because uh my god, like seeing the whole thing, seeing it all come together by the end of it, dude, no, Troy, guys, honestly, like if you guys have not seen Cloud Atlas, like it's the stuff that great cinema is about. And I want to read the book. I definitely want to read the book after seeing this movie, because like I was just so like enamored with this fucking movie, man. Like I really loved how, like, I know the book is kind of like a Russian nesting egg, right? Where like you have like one narrative in the center and then like other narratives that surround it, kind of like a Russian nesting egg. But this movie kind of takes that concept and intercuts a lot more liberally and a lot more uh quicker with each other. And I love that because it creates this effect of a tapestry. Um and it's such an intricate tapestry, and it has so many uh great details and so much like uh just yeah, such richness to it. And yeah, no, Mike, I'm pretty sure you understand what I mean, man. But like the way that this movie is just able to take you on this journey, and it's kind of funny, right? Because we're talking about 2001: A Space Odyssey. Like this really is a journey of like not people but of souls, of like what makes us people, and following these souls as they crash into each other, and sometimes these souls are good people, sometimes they're bad people, sometimes they make mistakes, and it's such a exploration of what it is to be a human, and what makes it, again, like I'm interested in this because like we're going through some, like, globally things are hard, like things are hard these days, like economically, socially, there's so much shit that I think a lot of us just are worried about, big things like, big political things, big social things, but also like small things about our lives and shit. And and I was going through that so bad um these last few weeks of just kind of like being tested and just having like there was this whole thing where like my car uh, I got a new car. I had to get a new car. I wasn't planning on it, but I had to get a new car. And like 2 days after I got it, the check engine light came on, and it was been such an ordeal to get it taken care of under warranty, and yeah, it was just such a fucking thing, guys. But when you're going through stuff like that, like this, it's such a small thing, but it feels so big in the moment. And like I'm the kind of person that like I let my imagination run away too hard, and I gotta reel it in, because like I will start catastrophizing. And so, maybe it was just where I was because of all the shit that was going on, but like I needed this movie at this point in my life. But I also think that it's a good thing this movie is out there now. And it's a movie that really like just it's like a weirdly like a warm hug of, it's a very comforting movie. Which is not to say that it's like fucking Paddington. This movie has some very dark moments and explores some pretty heavy themes, but it also has some like great action set pieces. Like, it's a Wachowski's movie, and it's a Wachowski movie. It has Wachowski ass scenes in it. There's some really good like genre work going on here, but like it's just such a grand fucking film, just such a huge vision. And it's the stuff that I love most about movies, man. It's just that people are able to take these ideas and explore them with these ways, and to make you feel this, man. I cannot be more in love with the movie after a first viewing than this one. Like it's seriously, and the music too. Like, I've been listening to the soundtrack at work and shit. Yeah, no, they were two of the three directors on this, with Tom Tykwer of Run Lola Run. But man, like seriously, Cloud Atlas, guys, like it is the movie that is like most like sitting heavy in my mind these days, because it really just kind of like affected me and just enraptured me to the point where like I'm carrying the movie with me outside of it. Like, I'm listening to the music like on a daily basis of it, because like I really just loved what this movie created, the world it created. um and ultimately, like, it's just everything that I love about filmmaking as an art form, and film as a medium, and all that. Like, it's all on display here. And I just really cannot recommend it enough. I wish I would have saw this thing in theaters when it first came out, but I only recently saw it for the first time. I'm hoping it's a 4K someday, because this movie is beautiful to look at. The making of this movie is fascinating too, how they managed to pull this all together. I cannot like be more positive on a movie, be more like recommending of a movie than this one. Seriously, Cloud Atlas was fucking incredible. And there's ways to be incredible. There's certain ways to be an incredible movie, right? And one of them is the way that I just explored, where it's like a sincere expression of a genuine feeling and all that shit. But then sometimes, you get brilliant fucking shit like Tough Guys Don't Dance. Oh my fucking god, Tough Guys Don't Dance. Okay, so this movie, uh, to me, it should be up there with like The Room with Birdemic, in terms of like movies that are so infamous for being so bizarrely made. Because yeah, this movie was made by Norman Mailer, the Nobel I'm sorry, I think he won the Nobel Prize winning author. Norman Mailer made this movie based on his own fucking book. And it's another vanity project, like a couple of running themes this month, right? Like vanity projects and all that shit. This movie is fucking so bonkers, dude. Like, I could not believe what I was seeing. Like, but okay, but like, I know I compared it to like Birdemic in The Room. And maybe those were the best comparisons, right? Because those movies are memorable because they're so incompetent. This movie is not incompetent. This is not an incompetently made movie. This is more like Bad Lieutenant Protocol New Orleans. Oh, dude, yeah, you get it, dude. Tough Guys Don't Dance, dude. I don't even think it should be a guilty pleasure. Like, I walked away from this movie, thinking, oh, hey, Lindsay, hi. But Tough Guys Don't Dance, man. Um, this was Bad Lieutenant Protocol New Orleans level for me, where it was like, no, these people know exactly what they're doing, and these people are insane. Like, like what? There's a character named Patty Lorraine. Okay, there's a character named Patty Lorraine that I think is one of the greatest, and I'm saying this unironically. She is one of the greatest characters ever committed to screen. She is so like she just I was so enthralled by her delivery. That was the movie. Yeah, you were watching the movie. This movie is so fucking wild. It goes so like many places. It stars Ryan O'Neal, rest in peace. AKA Barry Lyndon and stuff. Where's Mikey J? I wish Mikey J was here. You probably, I think he would have dug that it was a Ryan O'Neal. But like, yeah, he plays this failing writer, and he gets wrapped up in a murder mystery. He finds the decapitated heads of two people in his basement, and there's a big murder mystery going on. And it goes places. This movie fucking goes places, and it absolutely needs to be seen to be believed. There is one famous scene from this movie, and it's oh god, oh man, oh god, oh man. So if that sounds familiar to you, that's from this movie, and that is so quaint compared to some of the sheer batshit stuff that goes on in this movie. All the characters, literally all the characters, are just doing mountains of cocaine throughout the entire movie, and they are all acting like it. It is fucking gold. This movie was just a fucking ride, an absolute ride, and it really gave me like just like one of my new like I can't call it a guilty pleasure, dude, because this is just like a truly original vision, a truly original experience. I think Norman Mailer knew exactly what kind of batshit movie he was making, and he just did not care. He made a batshit movie, and it's fucking glorious. Like honestly, this should be talked about. This should be like infamous because it's so fucking wild. It is so fucking insane. No, this is like, how did this get made worthy? You know, this is a Vinegar Syndrome release. This is like, like as you guys can tell, I'm a big Vinegar Syndrome fans because, like, sure, they built their career on putting out sexploitation and porn films and stuff like that. But these days, they're working to preserve all these bizarro movies, all these weird fucking movies, and Tough Guys Don't Dance is like one of their better releases. That's a shit ton of great original extras. The excuse me, the transfer is pristine and shit, but like mainly you just got to see this movie. You just will not. You. I cannot like convince you. I can try to explain the movie to you. You're not gonna believe half the shit that I tell you is actually happening until you see it. It's fucking insane. When O'Neal Pat's film was My Man Went Just Straight Away, it's rarely mentioned anymore. But I have an OVH. Oh, dude. Oh man. Oh, dude. Oh man. Dude, Vinegar Syndrome's like, if you want a really good restoration, because the movie looks like it's the movie is actually really well shot. Like the cinematography is great. They shot it in this tiny little town, Cape Town, I think. And they did a hell of a job of capturing that town. I'm not gonna lie, that's unironically one of the best things about it. By the way, the image of one of my dude Bevon, the fucking scene, right? The scene where they're throwing over, the scene on the boat where they're throwing a body or two over minimum. Can we just like, that is one of the funniest fucking like scenes ever? Because okay, I don't want to give it away, but like just it's like the movie, it's like one of the ending scenes of the movie, and like you don't realize how many people died in this movie until you know what? You just got to see it. You just got to see it, man. Tough Guys Don't Dance. This is just fucking fascinating movie. Absolute gold, cinematic fucking golden shit, man. Yeah. I really want to find a way to talk about this movie more because it's so fucking insane here. Um, Imagine Tommy Wiseau wrote a spec script for Twin Peaks. Yeah, that sounds about right. That sounds about all right. Um, that's it, you guys. That is it for what I watched in January. So I mean, now it's time here. Well, actually, no, it's already an hour and 40. You know what, guys? I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night on this stream. But when I come back, which might be probably it depends on my girlfriend's schedule, really, when I'm gonna be streaming next time. But when I get back, and I'll put this up on the community page, I'll let you guys vote on it. We're either gonna be watching the making of The Last of Us Part 2, or we're gonna be watching the Beacon Rewind video on Sofia Coppola's experiences on the making of The Godfather Part 3. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. Other than that, I do not have a whole lot more to announce. I am just getting back into the swing of things this weekend after my big long break. But yeah, I am ready and refreshed for another fucking round of content. I got a bunch of videos coming your guys' way. So be ready for that. I just want to go ahead and give a quick shout out to everybody, all 8 of you guys in the chat. Thank you guys for hanging out. Thank you guys for saying hi in the chats. You guys have been very welcoming, and I thank you so much for that. But that's gonna be it for tonight, you guys. I've been Ed. You guys have been super, super fucking sick. Until next time, peace.